This episode is proudly sponsored by Amber L. Contact us today to learn how you can be a part of the vibration experience.
Good evening and welcome to Vibration, where we empower individuals to speak their distinct truth, passions, and personal message on a global online stage. I'm your host, Michelle McDonald, passionate foodie, author, and entrepreneur. And tonight I give a special thank you to our show sponsor, Amber L. We are continuing with the theme, Bahamian Roots, History, and Culture, with the topic of impacting youth and changing the perspective of caricature art. With our guest speaker tonight, Renbert Mortimer II, who is a creative leader and author who continues to mentor emerging artists, helping them use their God-given talents to elevate others. He is an inspirational speaker of over 14 years, speaking to thousands of young people throughout the Bahamas and the United States of America. With over a decade in artistry, Renbert has illustrated numerous projects. Most noteworthy is his own, publishing his book, How to Tame the Beast, and hosting workshops throughout the Bahamian Islands on abstinence and waiting for marriage. He is also noted for continuous volunteering throughout New Providence, speaking at Pace for over 10 years, and being involved with an international project and publishing by Dr. Aeneas, International Ambassador, on the 100 Greatest Black Leaders of All Time. He is the Chief Graphic Designer of RGM II Waynehead Productions, a marketing, concept design, and animation company recently contracted to brand the University of the Bahamas' athletic department, Mingos, where he has designed its logo, 3D mascot, and other graphic illustrations. He has completed many illustrations and digital graphic services, but is mostly known for Wayne's, his whimsical caricatures and digital graphic services, which are normally seen at weddings, parties, and other celebrations, as well as his digital caricatures. Renbert is the only Caribbean and Bahamian registered under the International Society of Caricature Artists and continues to compete against artists that are the best in the world in this form of exaggerated feature or caricature, being featured in the Society's website and publishing as the world's fastest artist in 2017. In 2020, he received the Extraordinary Black Man Award for uplifting young kings and building a better brotherhood by the Black Man Can Incorporated. Renbert currently serves as the advisor for the University of the Bahamas Student Government Association, director of Cans for Kids Board, and director of the Bahamas Urban Youth Development Center. He was awarded Project-wide Bahamas' Top 48 Millennials 2021 Award for being an influencer in the areas of change maker, digital media, education, male entrepreneur, innovation, and visual arts. Renbert, welcome to the stage tonight.
I muted myself. Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I was attempting to switch over to the other computer. Can I still attempt that and switch over?
Sure, no problem.
Okay. So I'm entering with the other device.
So audience members, we are going to dive into our questions very soon with Renbert. He has joined us back quickly. Yeah, much better.
Okay. So, yeah, it is a pleasure to be here. It is a joy to be amongst a very creative and talented young lady as yourself. And I'm happy to have this conversation.
Awesome. So am I. So your artistic experience and journey is so expansive. This includes graphic designs, illustrations, caricatures, animation, and other forms of design. What motivated you to enter the world of art?
I've been practicing, right? But I want to say it is not my own motivation. My father was an artist. My mom was always creative. She wrote plays for church, and I was always active in church. So it wasn't really a motivation toward art. And I can be frank and say I don't believe anybody beyond my art teacher, Mr. Marco Mullings, even encouraged me to do art as a profession. The desire was always there, drawing on the back of papers. I always tell the story of entering SAC's entrance exam. I drew Dragon Ball Z on the back of it. Instead of braggadociously, I'm just like, that's how much I love drawing. At a very early age, my dad saw a few of my sketches and he would use them for cards. And it can go from there. So I have to give credit to Mr. Anthony Hall, actually, another production. At the age of 17, when I started my company, he was, I believe, the first person to full-fledged tell me, hey, do this thing, focus. And he's taught me to this day. I'm still trying to learn. I would call him a mentor. So business skills, execution, deadlines, and even business negotiations. At one point in our relationship, I kind of stepped back from working with just him, but I can never forget those lessons and that seed he planted into my company. So I continued it. He invested in me. I've invested in a few artists, and I think it's going to continue through that cycle of just each one touch one. And we try to do our best to change the world.
I love that. The concept of paying it forward, even with the success that you have and will continue to have, you still took the time to remember and acknowledge those who had encouraged you, those who served as an inspiration in your life. They may not have pushed you. You had your own sense of motivation, but there were still others that you recognized for being there for you, and you chose to be that person for others.
Right. And it was needed. I think that is my purpose, like kind of just being that one artist to take time and see a young artist and just like, are we pausing? I see a slight pause, but are we good?
We're good.
Yeah. Okay. So, I have devoted time to just being that one person to tell people, like, you can make money from art. I have made money from art. I am a living proof. My mentors and friends who I conversate with daily, we all have done this. And there's so much avenues and growth available through art that I think the greatest injustice to most creatives is not seeing that idea they had as a child or as a young person come to life. It's a great injustice. And I just feel like if we encourage people to be creative and know that they can make mistakes, understand that not everybody will understand you, but what was for you is for you, and do it so they can see you grow and see you inspire and, like I say, elevate others. That's the goal. And it starts as simple as your first caricature or your first illustration or your first graphic.
Yeah, and I think one of the most important things that you mentioned was making money. Because when we think about art, we think that it's fun, and then we think of it as a hobby. We're like, okay, I'm good at it. I think I have some skills. I'll kind of do it on the side, but I want to focus on my career over there. And there's nothing wrong with being multi-talented and wanting to kind of find that balance. But most people don't elevate their art to the point where it's like, okay, this is my focus. I'm taking my passion to the area of a business sense, like how you have invested in advisors and you're able to show persons that you can profit from this and be successful just from your art.
Right. And again, there were people who were there for me who taught me that. I have to give credit to, I hate giving credit to him. I see him as my rival, but Jamal Rowe, man, I think he's one of the greatest businessmen of our time. His Excellency, actually, Jamal Rowe, and a lot of private meetings with him and his family at his household, and a lot of private conversations helped me understand that there isn't much teaching of art management in our country, or how do you make the creative process possible. There's more of this belief system, which I've honestly been approached where people believe you lack business sense. Like, I'm literally doing an MBA now, right? But they believe you lack it, so they approach you as, hey, you're an artist, you're doing good. You don't think you need a manager? I'll be a manager. I'll sell, but I need these percentages. I need you to pay me. Like, I've had people come to me and tell me I should hire them, and therefore they want to check at like $200 to $500 a month, so I can hire them to manage me. And I was like, I have a problem with that because I'm the CEO. If I don't want to listen to you, or if I want to take a break, I'm going to take that break.
Yes.
And there's nothing you can do to make me work. And it comes back to the key thing I think everyone needs in creativity, which is discipline, consistency. But discipline, you need to know that you need to be prepared for what's going to happen. Like, there's something coming up. And I think it's a sense the creatives of the purposeful people have, where there's that thing coming up. It's itching at you. You know, a proposal is coming up, a grant is coming up, an opportunity. And the key thing you need is to have your portfolio ready. You know, what you're doing here is dynamic because you're even creating a vast portfolio showing your hosting abilities, your way to communicate and connect with people. So imagine if you were approached like to do a TV show. It's like, come on, really? Let me, which episode you want to watch? It's like, but that's the thing. We spend, in this country, and I advocate, of course, for extensive education in many forms, right? I don't think I'm a good traditional educational person. I studied the model. I still advocate in schools. I believe some of our punishment systems are not good for development. My school clothes isn't clean. You don't know my social economic realities. You don't know if my parents can afford it, but the punishment for my school clothes not being clean is I no longer have access to education. The punishment for me not being groomed in the hotel is I don't have access to work. And it's like, not saying that these things should be standard, like you shouldn't take care of yourself, but the punishment for the action has to connect to what I think is something that's rehabilitative or something that's the person. So even as a caricature artist, I meet a lot of young artists. My direct mentees, some of them may have suffered with anger management or social anxiety, or just being an artist. They want to draw, they don't want to deal with people. But that's the beauty of caricatures. I've taught them my skill and taught them the ability to talk and communicate their thoughts with clients. And I teach it through tips. I do. I shout out to Bahamas Hotel Tourism Association. I had the pleasure of speaking to them for now almost 7 years. But the key thing I try to get them out of is this whole you owe me something, and get into service with the benefits of tips, right? Not thinking. Let's get into, can you execute? Can you deliver? Can you blow this person out of proportion with this drawing that doesn't look like them, right? Can your quality of customer service and your artistry and skill connect at a level that when this person leaves from you, they feel compelled to tip you? And I use that drive to teach a lot of social skills to people who wouldn't normally approach people. I want to highlight one of my mentees as I close. I don't want to be too long-winded, but I always share the story about when he learned the power of tips. So out of the 5, this is the one who I would say suffered the most. Like, he couldn't catch on to customer delivery and conversations. I would bring him to the airport. Shout out to Nad for the years I've worked with them. And he just couldn't get it. He would be mad, come out to events, other mentees getting tips, leaving with hundreds. And I have a rule. I make everybody lump sum the tips and split it. So I don't care how much tips you make. You be putting it together and we split it. So he was tired of that. He was like, I want to earn my own. So it literally took about 1 or 2 years on the floor before he got his first $20 tip. And then he got it. He was like, Mr. Mortimer, everything you teach me is true. If I talk to them, ask them these questions, draw them. It's like, I teach him 1, 2, 3, do these things. 1, 2, 3, we'll be good. And he stopped trying to like change the program. He stick to it. And literally when he got his first $20 tip, I couldn't talk to him no more. He was like, don't talk to me.
I made it.
And I always talk to him. I don't think naturally he's a caricature artist, right? But I also believe he's going to be one of the best and talented animators this country's ever seen. But I'm happy that he's learning the business sense of artistry through caricatures. And that's the beauty of it. It's more than just drawing. It's social skills. It's corporate communications. Sometimes you're before a CEO and you don't know it. How are you going to relate yourself? How are you going to relay your ideas? How are you going to engage and blow their mind? It could be through your skills, or it could be for the fact that they saw you draw 15 people, but somehow you keep saying their name 3 times. Come on, hotel training.
There you go.
Somehow you remember their children's name. Somehow you remember some detail. And what they're trying to figure out is, but you were drawing me this whole time. So you're telling me, because remember, multitasking is a myth now, right? But you're telling me you were drawing me and listening? How much people can only do one thing and can't even listen? That's my point. I done. Burn.
No, you did well. I love the infusion of all of the different aspects of caricature art because, of course, from the outside looking in, we look at it, it's comical, it captures our personality, we see ourselves on paper, it's something that brings up a fond memory, and we love it. Even my aunt, she and her husband went to New York, and they have their caricature art actually on their wall as one of the most symbolic aspects of being there. And so it shows that it speaks volumes. So you being able to have that reference of how it changed the character of the persons that are drawing the art and how they were able to infuse and develop themselves. So here we are, character development, right? Through this process of connecting with others and creating a piece of art that they can connect to and have fond memories. I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that I really wanted to point out because, of course, we see you at your events, kids, families, adults, vacations, all of these things. And a lot of persons see it and they just don't understand. They don't understand the layers, the levels of it, and basically that it can grow with you. And as someone who is receiving the art, like you see yourself, like for me, I was ecstatic. You're talking to me and, you know, we're having jokes and there's food because it's part of like a foodie episode and everything is just going. And I have no idea that you are sketching me right now. And so when I receive my digital caricature, I'm blown away. Right? Because I'm like, this is seriously me on paper. My bubbliness, my energy, the colors are coming to life. And it's just like, wow, I can't believe it. Like, as you said, it's like, okay, he was talking to me, full conversation, full engagement, and he's drawing me at the same time. Like, whoa.
Well, there's been a lot of, I would say, corporate partners who have helped to grow that appreciation of it because we're moving from, I believe, a cookie cutter era of caricatures, which is what people, especially Bahamians, want. They want a portrait face with a cartoon body. You know, that's the style people before me were doing, right? Jamal did that for years over at Atlantis Marina Village. So when you come and you're trying to integrate your style or your flair to it, it's a rare squeeze. Like, I don't even know how to say. You got to maneuver. You got to MacGyver in there to get in the industry because I had to make a decision to have my own style. Like I was this close to doing Jamal's style and just being like, this what he doing, let me just imitating him, right? Until I went around and I want to give credit to who introduced me to the industry, Mr. Willie Cunningham. He saw me at Atlantis and at this point I was just drawing on Facebook, just making a little $10, $20 there. And he gave me my first shot into the corporate caricatures, right? So I still remember it as actually over Atlantis at the Cove, and you know, he told me how to dress, and I was just out there, and like he was giving me his background, who inspired him, and all this, and I was just like, dude, I actually doing the thing I've been dreaming of doing. I'm about to draw some random people from around the world I ain't never meet. Boy, you're scared. I was so scared. I didn't know what to do. But it's a good going back to that principle. What you do in the dark will come out in the light. And I still remember, I don't want to share his story, right? Because I'm sure one day you will interview him. But when I got down to my sixth drawing, I had Willard over my shoulder. And he was like, boy, you good, you know. This time, this is my first event. I like, but you's master, you know, you sensei. And it continued like that. Until a point, eventually me and him started doing little gimmicks and gags. We would crack jokes, you know, he's a married man, I'm a single man. We would crack these things and have everybody laughing. And we'd have this flow, and we have so much stories to this day we could share. But the beauty of it I got is just how much you need. And I think this is what is missing in the creative world sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You need a mentor, man. You need somebody who's being there, who could guide you to a certain level and then let you grow and be like, boy, you come a long way. So that's why I always call back to people in my past. I don't believe I'm perfect. I don't believe my style is where I want it to be. I'm always improving. But I do appreciate that I'm not where I used to be, you know? And I do appreciate that now I'm considered a company and not just a guy drawing at events.
Yes, being able to acknowledge your own growth and having those who support you is extremely important. I think we do underestimate the value of support, especially the different types, because as you grow, the elevation of support is also there and is also needed. So, of course, I wanted to make the point that you practice what you preach. So you speaking about the level of discipline and character development that comes with it when you work with the emerging artists, you yourself put a lot of discipline and focus into your own work. Of course, that came into play when you were awarded World's Fastest Artist in 2017 and also being registered under the International Society of Caricature Art. That really, really speaks a lot. And of course, your commitment to helping the youth development. You have such an influence when it comes to the University of the Bahamas with the branding, graphic design, and developing their 3D mascot. And I distinctly remember a LinkedIn post that you made where you said that you found the role fulfilling being there because of the students. It wasn't about the position itself or being in a particular office. It was the energy, the vibes, knowing that you were being able to make a difference through your designs for those students. Tell us about your experience there and the amount of youth that have been impacted through your work.
Man, everything that happened, I would never consider myself just a graphic artist, and especially when it comes to branding, I would actually celebrate the fact that I love the emotional response of brands. Like, can you make them feel and believe in it? So at the time when we were developing it, you're talking about hundreds of students I've never met before. I'm old to them, right? But they buy into this idea that students, alumni, staff, faculty, they buy into this thing known, which if you look at it, it's an exaggerated flamingo, right? And man, the amount of doubt and ridicule the brand got before it got where it is now, where students are chanting it and teams are wearing it and people are buying it out of Chapter 1 bookstore. To be there and watch that, I only could give credit to students because it wasn't me. I wasn't everywhere. You know, I wasn't in the private rooms or the parties where people just were so proud of this thing that they can call their own. But I was in the back of a bus one time, and it was one of our student retreats. And I remember it was a good night. The students were having fun. Everybody stopped for Conch-Sally riding from where we was downtown, going back to Camp Alutha, I think is the name of it. And there was this moment, like when time froze, where the students started one of the chants we just made up, and the bus started to rock. And when I felt that, it's like this energy hit me, and that's when I like realized like what it's for. Like, branding is supposed to elevate and inspire. And I think a lot of people, like I tell clients, like I know there's stuff out there now like graphics and Canva and stuff that can help you do quick graphics, but so much of the industry is missing out on the influence of the creative. Because like if I create your logo, I will post that onto my forums and to my followers because I had a process in that, and I know what that means for you. Like I had a client recently, she came up with a book, Black Girl Wears Your Beauty, or I forget the exact title, but her name is Danielle Gator, I believe. And I recently posted her as well because it's like I remembered illustrating her book. It wasn't easy. You know, I'm a black guy. Like it was some elements of it. She was just like, I need this picture to slay, sir. I needed to slay. It's like I'm trying to make it slay. Where's the book on slaying? Bring the textbook on slaying. Like, but like to see her proudly promoting her book now, that's the see the grit, man. Like the energy about promoting your idea and believing in it. And then, like I tell all my clients, it only takes that first sale. I'm never telling people we can sell 1 million books or 1,000. If they get there, God be the glory. But when I see a client sell their first idea, sell their first book, or in the instance of UB, when I heard the first student said, UB mangoes, and I was like, who teach that person that? Like I did that in a private room at a pitch to get this contract.
Wow.
March, like for Charter Day, the whole athletic department was chanting "UB Mangoes," and I was just like, "That ain't official yet." But again, the students were excited for it. So even when I meet alumni be like, "Who chose this?" And this thing super. I was like, "Boy, it ain't even me. These people drew this. They take chance." I remember, I went to Freeport on campus one time, and I was trying to teach them what is a mango and all this education. Right? I got to crack a joke. Shout outs to Roma, right? One of our passionate student leaders. Roma's like, "Sit down, but I got this." And I was like, no, but like I invent this, so Roma's like, "Sit down, I got this." And then they did the chant in a whole new way. I recorded it and I put it out there.
Wow.
It had like thousands of views in one night. A version of viral, I would say, in the UB community. And then the next day when it was on our UB Survival Guide, right? That's a closed page. Students were messaging me like, "Mr. Mortimer, they hyper than us. That's what we need to be doing." And it's like, "You falling off. You need to go over there." And I was like, I recorded the video. I'm the reason the video out there. But I also captured that a lot of brands develop loyal customers, right? And we have created so much Mangoes ambassadors. People who loyal to graduating from COB, UB, no matter what you say, they got that pride. And maybe it's an influence of some parts of my earlier life. I was in a lot of sports and stuff. Maybe it's my high school experience, but I believe I've learned through the trickling effects of being a proud alumni of Our Lady's Catholic Primary School, proud alumni of SOC, that there's a degree of pride you have to get from what you engage in. I don't believe that UB is not better. No, let me rephrase that. I believe our university is as good as any other university out there, especially after the pandemic when everybody is locked down. I believe the service and the opportunities that we offer here in this country are on par with this abroad. Now, it could differ for people in majors, right? Maybe they want to do this, they want to do that. But when we talk about the spirit, like we just had freshmen, our first year experience, we had a foam party, we had a block party, we had this and that. The experience we gave our students was similar to what I got when I went to Canada. And that's why I just believe it's going to continue to grow beyond me just being there. And it's all because the bird, man, the blue bird. Shout out to Blue.
There you go, Mingos. I love that, hearing that passion from the students, the spirit, and you know what? That is what it is all about, especially when it comes to sports. Because sports, you have them highs, them lows. You don't always feel like working with your team members. You don't always make the right decisions. You hate losing, right? There is a lot that goes into kind of like building that up and keeping that going throughout the entire like season of whatever sport that is. So, that chanting, that goes a long way, especially with the youth. Very long way. Very long way. Congratulations on that. And of course, on your other recognitions and awards regarding mentorship, giving back, leadership, and also being a Project-wide Bahamas Top 48 Millennial. You have such a heart for helping others and inspiring them through speaking to thousands of youth throughout the Bahamas and the U.S., which is a significant aspect of youth development that keeps on going. If you can inspire one Bahamian youth right now, what would you say?
There's no time like today. Like a lot of times I don't need sleeping pills. I go to sleep easy at night. But living in the spotlight sometimes isn't always easy. But you have to understand that there's no time like today. Like at any moment, Christ knew he had about 33, 34 years on this earth and looked how he lived purposely every day, intentionally, right? So much so that they could write a whole book on his life. And I think that we get this I like to call it sometimes a mediocre sense of life, where we believe tomorrow is promised. We believe that Marvel 2025, 16th chapter with Thanos and all that coming out. We believe when we see all these timelines that, oh, okay, I'm going to wait until these movies come out before I move. But I think if we look at our life like that, almost like how Marvel announces stuff, right? Okay, this year is the third Marvel segment of my life, Ren segment. What is going to be next year? Like right now, I just put in for one of the grants of our country because I decided to switch my strategy. I wanted to carry Bahamians abroad, the experience that I experienced at the International Society. It's something that was going to cost the company maybe $100,000 to $200,000 over 5 years. And then I saw this innovation grant, right, came out. And I was like, what if I reverse it? What if I bring all of my fellows and friends from around the world, from Japan, Europe, the United States, Canada, all my friends who I know, who I can still call on. What if I bring everybody here? And I have a conference for 5 days where primary school kids could walk through, secondary schools could walk through. We could partner with a major hotel. Shout out to the hotel who's looking like our prosperous partner, because all this is going to happen. But what if I bring all of them here and just let Bahamians experience what I experienced that changed my life? So they can understand that there are people who literally just get up every day, set up on a park, and making hundreds of thousands a year. Like, it's just so much fun. Like, the average caricature right now in industry costs us like $35 to $50. The average person, when I was at Atlantis, the average manager, right, when you just start, you make only like $25 a year at the time when I was there. That's like $100 a day. That's like 3 caricatures.
There you go.
At the time when I was doing caricatures, I was doing way more than 3. I was doing 8 to 15 caricatures a day, meaning I was making 4 to 5 more than what I was making at the Atlantis at the time. When you look at facts like that, business sense like that, when the fact that you're selling something for $35, that the products and utensils for it only go up to $3 max. If you add in wages, maybe wages is 30%. Got to talk a little business now. They didn't expect this.
I see it.
Wages, you're talking about maybe carrying home more than 50% profit. Like, literally, more than 50% profit off something. If you add a business sense of it like that, understanding that if, like what I'm doing right now, if you replicate this model, and what if we have 10 shops on the island? That's 10 people bringing in an income. That's money, man. To teach young people, like, don't get blindsided by living life for other people, but literally live in the moment. Like, my mentees, I'll call them that, they're their own artists now. But I always crack this joke to shout out to Rebelistic 9090. Oh, and that's the thing about our mentorship. Everybody have to make up a code name like a superhero, right? So I'm Wayne here. One is mystical, one is Rebelistic. I don't know. I think Malik is Goku. But I made everybody do that to teach them branding, because it's good to sometimes connect what you're doing to something else so you don't put so much stress on yourself. But Rebelistic 9090, Alrika Bain, right? I remember when I gave her a paycheck a few months ago, I told her I hate her. And she's like, why are you saying that, Mr. Rand? I said, because I am paying you like $3,000-$4,000 this month, and you are like 21, 22 years old. I hate you, wait. It was a joke, but she got what I was saying, and she rushed it. But it's like, I could brag about doing that because, like, that's hard work. Like, she's leading my company when I ain't there. She representing me. I recently went to one of the different things she was setting up, too, for the company. And the people tell me, you can leave. Be like, go, shoot.
Hey, we straight.
Squeeze me. Squeeze me. But I could share those stories forever they're worth, because like, young people need to know that there's a super big blowout explosion of good feelings that come when the thing you believe in that nobody else see comes to fruition and comes to life. And I've had friends over the years who didn't see the vision, right? Who down Village U program, the fine artists that work for my company. They tell me, but you always want to try and inspire people. Why don't get a 9 to 5? Like, I family and friends who was telling me, stop dreaming and stop fighting for people and start doing this. Just be normal. I was like, I can't be normal. It's so boring. Like, look how much
normal,
I said, hey, where your offering is? Wait, we catch one fish and let the fish spit up a piece of coin. That's my offering. Wait, God's so fun. Anyway, done with it.
Thank you for that. And that is a very important message to walk away from, especially for the youth, because I think that they kind of come out of high school with a bit of a timeline, right? So do this by 20, this by 25, this by 30. And so in their mind, they always have time, right? They always get back to that. I could do this thin, and then they also underestimate their own talent, their own worth, how high their dreams can soar. So your message about doing it now, this is the best time. There's no perfect time. There's no right time, so to speak, in regard to it being exactly what it should be when you want it to be. It's now, it's investing, it's believing in yourself, it's having that confidence, it's following that vision and being steadfast about it, that it is yours and yours alone to accomplish and see through.
Correct.
And that really says a lot. So, of course, you've talked about your mentors or mentees and bringing the other artists, international artists, here into the Bahamas to inspire and train them. But what are some of the other things that we can expect from RGM II, Wayne Head Productions, what's happening with Mingos, any upcoming events, and of course, where can we find your book, How to Tame the Beast?
Well, I'll start with How to Tame the Beast. So I just ordered about 200 to 300 copies. I'm going back on a tour to be inspired for my second book, called #Dating, talking about dating in a social media world. Maybe that's where I find my wife. Who knows, right? But Wayne Head Productions I think it's an established household name now. I have a lot of people text me and take pictures of caricatures in people's house and be like, boy, I seen your work, I see your signature. It's like over 10 years of artistry, and I think I'm just moving into a more like teaching style of it. I really want to start an academy and teach it, not just here, but going down into the lower Caribbean nations, because anywhere there's a hotel, there's a need for caricature artists. I want to let people feel some of the pleasure that I felt, like randomly getting a text to say, we have an event in Chicago and we need you to fly over. Can you make it? And they'd be like, I am in the Bahamas. Oh, that's fine. We love your work. You did.
There you go.
Well, that'd be like $3,000 for me to come over, and the person just sends it. Like, I want people to live that and know that it's possible that, even the society. I remember, man, so much stories, but I had a job in Freeport that was referred to me by one of my good friends in New York. So a lady got a caricature in New York, and she wanted a rendition done for this party that she was doing for her 16th birthday or something in Freeport. So the person was like, I know you want my style, but like, you are Ren. Like, you have a Bahamian who doing big things in the world. And she hit me up, and I gave her my price, basically just adding on the plane ticket from Nassau to Freeport. And ultimately, like, I was canceled, and she just found a regular artist. When I say regular, I mean like somebody who could do caricatures, but they really don't self-identify as just a caricature artist like I do. Somebody who could do it, and that was sufficient. And I was just like, but you was ready to hire my boy from New York, though. And so you kind of learn those hard truths. The fact that it's not that people hating on you, but you just gotta let your work speak for itself.
Yeah.
And that never stops. Every year I start, it's like I'm reintroducing myself like I never did anything. The only difference is the portfolio gets better and better. And that's something I even pass on when I do customer service trainings. But like I said, Bahamas Hotel Tourist Association, or with Four Winds Consultancy is one of my clients, or even Bahama Voice. Whenever I talk to people, it's like, if you don't have a love for correcting the same mistake 20 times every hour, then you want in customer service, because it's like with doing social media for UB. You might have a student every day ask, hey, where's the application for application? Like, where's the digital application to apply at UB? And you're on social media just sending that same link like 20 times. I never get tired of doing it. Like, you had a question, I was able to respond in less than 5 minutes. Boom, there it is. How can I help you? Anything else?
Yeah.
Maybe 2 days later, you know what, there's more than I need. Let me help you. Like, I want to help and create those like ambassadors through good quality customer service and emotional response. But that can't happen if people aren't aligned with where they need to be. If I get on the topic of purpose, am I somebody who should be sitting behind a desk doing accounting work? Honestly, no. I feel like the gifts to God give me and the love for people, it'll be a waste of my talents. Would it pay? more money if I became a partner or something, maybe. But when you operating in purpose, it's like, it ain't about the money. You know, I shared a story with you offline before, but it's like, I think one time Atlantis didn't pay me for 2 to 3 months because of some systematical error. And my boss came to me at the time, my manager, and she was like, oh, sorry, we didn't pay you, but it's going to be rectified and you should see the increments coming in your paycheck at the time. And I was just looking at her like, I wasn't even checking. Like, I was getting blessed so much from Wayne Head. It's like, the Atlantis money just started just going to account. I was like, yeah, whatever. Like, I never checked for payroll. So when I got freed from that almost rat race of when my next check is to, you know, a place where you're just operating in financial freedom and you're just traveling, you're just doing. It's like the weekend isn't about partying. The weekends for me are busy. Sometimes you go to an event and it comes out 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, and you're just drawn. You come, like, I have rituals that I teach my artists. I never leave from an event until an hour after the event because I just sit in the car sometimes and calm down. And mind you, sometimes when you calm down, it's like sleep at you and you be like, you know, let me go call the police and tell them I sleep on the side of the road tonight. Right? And that's one of the sad parts about it, that my mentees from the age of 15, well, no, lower than that, from the age of 11 actually, I was asking 10 parents to let me carry their children on school nights over to Atlantis and Bahama. Well, Bahama wasn't there. It was Atlantis and Malia and Crystal Bay. Yeah, actually, Crystal Bay. Anyway, so I was asking to take young children to follow me so they could see how I live in and see what I doing. And I, like, 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, the parents calling me, where my child and this and that. And I'm like, but I got to do it. And I had to take that for years. I'm talking about years. Parents didn't understand what I was doing until now. One of the parents, shout out to Rika's mom and dad, like, she's able to function and make money by herself. Like, she just texted me. She did a sip and paint. And then she sent like a wink side, like, hey, I did it without you. And I'm just like, babe, yeah. I'm proud. Like, as an artist, she makes me proud every day. But I think that's where we need to grow. Like, how can we remove the fear of being creative, of being different, thinking different? I know I'm weird. Like, I think super different. Like, you bring me in a situation with rules and regulations, and I ask, why haven't we changed these yet? You know, you put me in UB many times when I'm in, I can't say which meetings, but I'm in certain meetings, and I'm like, it sounds like the problem is a policy. Y'all, I'm not willing to change the policy that allows you to create a new atmosphere and create something that works. An example of this, right, if we could have a conversation about it, is COVID-19. It introduced a scenario where we no longer had to work 9 to 5. The thing that everybody said you couldn't do, work from home and be productive, we did. To just show that we were productive. And then the second the country opens back up, the first thing leaders said is, let's return back to what we was doing. I was like, what? We just proved that the model can work outside of the 9 to 5. Furthermore, we have braggadocious. I want to say braggadocious because they have articles, right? We have, Google has been doing it for years, talking about their model of being employee-centered and customer-centered. We have FTX talking about how they just give you POVs and, hey, just go on vacation, just return back. We have the companies that are leading and making money, changing the model. And then the companies that didn't change, of course, and COVID died, but the companies who still here want to return back to how it was. I'm like, no, I can't do that. But like, where's the creativity? The number one call in COVID-19 is we need creativity and innovation. Creativity and innovation. Yes. And I always say, creativity and innovation is not when I give you my ideas and you say, okay, I like this, but let's change it up. You just changed the formula. You told me, give you the creative idea. This is the creative idea. Go with it. I would never want to see the results of my creativity if I have to change and reformat it to fit your ideologies or structure. It's not going to work. So if you don't have creatives who can articulate themselves and fight like that, who don't bend to the status quo, who don't, I hate this one, who don't get a picture from their auntie of an ex-artist's work and say, hey, paint this for me for $50, and then they paint it because they need $50. It's good to be starving. It's terrible to be that hungry. Ain't nothing wrong with being a starving artist, but when you're that hungry, you don't have ethics and righteous morals about your artist standards and respecting other artists, what you want to happen? You don't think I want to watch Marvel on bootleg? But if I don't give my $10, $15, $30 to the movie industry so the model can show how it's returning funding, how am I expecting one day for my animations to be supported? Come on, you got to support the industries and the hard work.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we're in a world that allows a lot of template structures like Canva and things to allow everybody to be more creative. I'm fine with that. As long as the end production is blowing people's mind, I'm fine with that. But for the creatives who have the natural skill, right? There are apps that can do a caricature. But there are people who still choosing to hire me to do caricatures.
Yeah.
That means there's a purpose that only I could do, that God had for only me to do, to bring into this world, and nothing could have replaced it, even a computer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and not to get inspirational, but you have some of the greatest men in the world saying it right now. What are the qualities needed now in leadership? Honesty, teamwork, humanistic skills, soft skills, compassion. These are the new abilities that the workforce needs. But the number one complaints inside the workforce is sometimes leaderships or leadership styles.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so much research out there, and as a creative, I try to share to people, like, don't just put me on the spectrum that, hey, he does only caricatures. No, I might take your job. I might come to that business and take your job too. But is it really benefiting the country and the world? I sit behind a desk and become an accountant when I know I have all these other ideas. I can't go to my grave with all these ideas. Just because they egotistically show you that I can do their job better, which I've done before in my life. I literally did that at a job before. The boss kept routing me saying I'll never be a housekeeper. Won award 3 times at the Cove. And I was like, yo, the man can never do this. Now, according to y'all, I'm one of the best. Then I switched departments. It was fun, but like it got so boring and so systematic. I used to like spin around in the chairs. And I used to get shout out to Omar, Bristol, and Michelle, Christy, good friends. But they used to call me in the office like, you can't be spinning around in the chair and the shift start. And they used to be like, okay, tell me to start at the 12th floor. These rooms clean. I used to just look at the paper and be like, yeah, that one clean, that one straight. It's like, oh, how you know this? Oh, I already figured out if you walk the floor from 11 to 3 before your shifts, the shift starts at 3. But if I walk about 11 to 3 and I talk to all the housekeepers and housemen, I can get all the status right then and there before they go to lunch. Furthermore, I could communicate with the morning managers. So by the time 3 o'clock come, I already know how to run my shift. Meaning by 5 o'clock, I literally just spin around the chair, because what y'all took like 4 hours to do to say y'all working, you can do quicker. But nobody wants to do it quicker. And that's why I just go to businesses and ask them hard questions. You want a social media ambassador? Put it in the administrative assistant title. Call her a company ambassador. Put the same role to the administrative assistant. Put social media in there and let her be on the phone during the shift. Well, we can't do that. Oh, so you don't want to change the policies. The thing that you could change, not human behavior. Yeah. You could change the structure of a job. You could change a policy. That's your power as a leader. The thing you cannot change is human behavior. We're in an era that people are going to be on their phones naturally, but you're telling them to stop doing something that's natural because it's not good for the job. Shout out to my boy Kool-Aid, who now is on his phone at Atlantis, highlighting Atlantis. Like, changing, man. You got to change with it before you get left behind.
Yes, very true. And I love that shout out to creatives and to follow your passion, your purpose, you know, understanding that what you're doing is a gift to the world. And the world needs creativity in all forms, you know, in all industries, in all atmosphere. And as we mentioned as well, it's a cycle. So we have to invest in it in other aspects for it then to be invested into us. Right? So for people to recognize us, to see us, and to support that.
Agreed.
So Renbert, thank you for being an active part of youth development in the Bahamas through your graphic design, your speaking, of course, motivational talks, caricature art that continues to inspire, bring joy, and capture the energy of your clients and youth around the world. You continue to change the perspective of caricature art through a love of your craft, and your words continue to have a positive ripple effect that will impact future generations to come. To connect with Renbert for event bookings, speakings, and everything else that he does to inspire others, you can contact him at 242-825-9390 and waynehead242@gmail.com. And of course, to stay updated on the latest events, check out his caricature arts and happy clients. You can follow him on Instagram at Wayne242, as well as GetWayne242, and the Dreamer242 on Twitter, if he tweets. As a reminder, this episode is proudly sponsored by Amber L. A special thank you to our audience members for watching this episode. And of course, our guest speaker, Renbert Mortimer II, whose artistry is breaking barriers in caricature art and continuing to inspire young kings and queens. If you've missed the first half of the show, you can watch the full episode on this Facebook page. And I ask that you leave a heart at the bottom. I invite everyone to follow this page for more show updates, and stay tuned for another episode of Vibration, where we raise your frequency and amplify your truth. Bye, everyone.
Bye.